Hey everybody, just wanted to share a quick passage with you. This is in 2 Corinthians. This is where Paul's dealing with more or less these super apostles that are going around more or less slandering Paul's name, belittling his apostleship. Probably, when he says super apostles, I believe it's in 2 Corinthians 12:11, where he's talking about these super apostles, and I think that they're being manipulative, trying to get their possessions from them, just the way that Paul's talking and wording things. And we see a lot of this in church today, and it's good to be a skeptic. Just because we could watch stuff on TV and watch all the smoke and mirrors, and these same type super apostles, their motives may not be pure, all right? As the scriptures tell us, that many have bad motives. Jesus himself tells us to be a skeptic on the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 7, 15 through 20. He tells us, watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ferocious wolves. He's telling us right there that they're manipulative, self-seeking. Most people are self-seeking. So, and by their fruit, you will recognize them. And that's the same with these super apostles, right? Jesus even telling us to be a skeptic. So when we run into these encounters of someone trying to twist things up, like for example, in 2 Timothy, there's another example there that in 2 Timothy 2:16 through 18. And I can't pronounce their names, but Paul's talking to Timothy, and actually I think his last words written as he's in a prison, being imprisoned in Rome by Emperor Nero and waiting death. And he writes to Timothy, he says, by the way, 2 Timothy is about church structure and more or less what to watch out for within the church, and so Paul's discipling Timothy in the faith and showing him what to watch out for. And he says right here, 2 Timothy 2:16 through 18, but avoid irreverent babble, for it will lead people into more and more ungodliness, and their talk will spread like gangrene. Among them are Hymenaeus, and I can't say his other name, who have wavered from the truth, saying that the resurrection has already happened, and they're upsetting the faith of some. So, we know what philosophy and some theology lead to, and this is why we really don't waver off the Word of God, is because it confuses so many people. And until they're able to eat of that truth, then it's just going to distort and confuse. Where I find we are centered is in the Sermon on the Mount, our most ethical teachings we've had for over 2,000 years, if not ever. And I just believe that is where the Christian faith is sitting, is in those ethical teachings of morality that are taught by Jesus Christ. That's what keeps us unified. We may have over 40,000 different religions in this world, but we should all be unified in that. And that is what Paul, I feel, was talking about when in 1 Corinthians, when he first wrote his very first letter to the Corinthian church. He mentions Jesus Christ 10 times in the first 10 verses. And he's saying you should be unified in all things. And I agree, we should be. And also the simple teachings of the gospel that are laid out before us, that we have over a mile thick evidence, that is what the Christian faith is founded on. And no other religion in the world is founded off of a single historical event. So again, I wanted to share this last passage, and this is Apostle Paul again talking to the Corinthian church, in 2 Corinthians. This is his third visit, right? And he is just telling, he says, here for the third time, I am ready to come to you, and I will not be a burden, for I seek not what is yours, but you. For children are not obligated to save up for their parents, but their parents for their children. I will most gladly spend and be spent for your souls. If I love you more, am I to be loved less? And so Apostle Paul is just, it's such a powerful statement here, because I believe these super apostles, were just trying to get money from them, and so from the Corinthian church. And so the Corinthians, are a bit skeptical of Paul now because of more or less what they've probably been told. And Paul's defending his apostleship, and you'd have to read more of it in here to see Paul's argument and his pure love for the church. And you hear just a little bit of it right there. And it's such a great example for the patience that we should have for our own children, and also all the other young ones coming up in the faith. If you've been in the faith for years, we should have that discernment to witness God's mighty hand working in lives of people all around us. And we should be able to discern when God is working in those people's lives. And as Paul says in, I think, 1st or 2nd, or 1 Corinthians, I think chapter 1 or 2, he tells us, I, Paul, plant a seed, but Apollos may water it, but only God can make that seed grow. So none of us, can get prideful or boast, right? And so we should be watering or planting. And if you witness God working, just reach out, love on them, help them understand just the love of our God, and also just the importance of discipleship. Anyways, God bless you guys.